Try it.
Yes.
I'm going to call the City Council caucus meeting to order for July 14th, 2014. We have one public hearing listed on the agenda, but we are canceling that. We need to do some more research into the topic before we go ahead with that. So moving then to original consideration, if the clerk would read number one.
Item number one, a resolution confirming appointment of members to the Affirmative Action Advisory Board.
All right, without objection, on consent. Item number two.
Item number two, a resolution authorizing the sale of 946 through 954 State Street.
Without objection, on consent. Item number three.
Item number three, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by 1707 State Street, LLC.
Discussed in claims without objection, on consent. Item number four.
Item number four, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Excelsior Development Partners, LLC, involving 103 Kings Road.
Also discussed in claims without objection, on consent. Item number five.
Item number five, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Joseph Suhrada involving property located at 2565 Albany Street.
Also discussed in claims without objection, on consent. Item number six.
Item number six, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Draper Development, LLC, involving property located at 438 State Street.
Also discussed in claims without objection, on consent. Item number seven.
Item number seven, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a claim brought by Beverly Barnett.
Again, without objection, on consent. Item number eight.
Item number eight, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by Carrie Ann Milham.
Again, discussed in claims without objection, on consent. Item number nine.
Item number nine, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Cone Family Investment Partners, LP, involving property located at 426 Franklin Street.
Also in claims without objection, on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by Brenda Long.
Without objection, on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by David and Paula Gunn.
Again, without objection, on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12, a resolution recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Music Haven World Class Concert Series.
This will be taken out of order. Mr. Riggi will present that. And we have two unanimous consent.
Where is mine? Okay, for unanimous consent, number 12A, a resolution honoring Reverend Van Stewart.
Will someone move that? Ms. Porterfield, seconded by Mr. Riggi. All in favor? Aye. Will you move it to the consent agenda? Okay, Mr. Mudavaran, Mr. Riggi, with all in favor? Aye. Okay, the second one?
12B, a resolution honoring Bethel AME Church.
Okay, again, will someone move that to the agenda? Ms. Porterfield, seconded by Mr. Mudavaran. All in favor? Aye. And move it to the consent agenda? Okay, Ms. Porterfield, Mr. Mudavaran, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else to come before the City Council caucus, we'll declare that adjourned, and I will call the City Council meeting to order for July 14th, 2014. Please rise for the invocation by Reverend Felicia Collins of Bethel AME Church.
Amen. If we could please bow our heads. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that everyone could be a great servant. The only thing we needed to do was to have a heart full of grace. Almighty God, we ask that you would be with us at this date and time and this hour. We ask that you will help us to be better servants so that we can become better leaders. Lord, we ask that you bless everything that would be said here today, everything that would be done, that it would be done to your name, honor, and your glory. And help us to be more concerned about one another and less concerned about self, that we may be able to grow into the city that you would have us to be. In Jesus' name, amen.
I'll ask Mona Golub to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if the clerk would call the roll.
Ms. Perazzo is excused. Ms. Porterfield? Here. Mr. Erickson is excused. Mr. Mutavaran? Present. Mr. Riggi? Here. Mr. Kosher? Here. Ms. King?
Present. All right, we have one out-of-order resolution recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Music Haven World Class Concert Series. Mr. Riggi.
Ms. Golub. We have a resolution recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Music Haven World Class Concert Series. You have permission
Mr.
to
Riggi,
read
you
this?
have the floor.
Thank you. Just so you know, way back in the 60s, I played on the stage there. I was very young, so I see that's part of the resolution. Whereas free music has been a long cherished tradition in Schenectady Central Park, and whereas the Music Haven Concert Series, now celebrating 25 years of presenting world-class concerts in Central Park, has continued that legacy, which traces almost a century of music in the park. And whereas a 1919 annual report by the Schenectady Bureau of Parks noted park improvements that include one bandstand believed to be the origin of Music Haven, and in 1950, a 26-foot wide and 20-foot deep stage replaced the bandstand and continued to offer free musical performances. And whereas in 1989, Mona Golub approached then Mayor Karen B. Johnson regarding presenting concerts in Music Haven. And whereas in 1990, Mona Golub presented a 5-concert series on the Music Haven stage, and whereas since 1990, concerts at Music Haven have welcomed the people of Schenectady and the greater capital region to travel the world one concert at a time with artists from various backgrounds performing at the park's venue. And whereas eventually the elements began to take their toll and the active but aging stage was in need of replacement. And whereas fundraising to build a new stage was initiated with a $210,000 grant from the New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, a $150,000 grant from the Schenectady Foundation in the name of Agnes S. McDonald, and a $150,000 gift from the William and Estelle Golub Foundation, all combined with generous contributions from the Wright Family Foundation and Schenectady County Legislature, among numerous other organizations and individuals. And whereas on January 20th, 1999, the old stage was demolished, and on February 18th, 1999, a groundbreaking ceremony was held with work continuing on the new stage through the winter. And whereas on July 7th, 1999, the inaugural concert of the Agnes McDonald Music Haven stage was held, featuring the Schenectady Symphony Orchestra, 7-year-old operatic soloist Lawrence Hab, and a select choir from Niskayuna High School. And whereas for the past 24 summers, Music Haven has established itself as Schenectady's premier outdoor performing arts center, bringing world-class international and regional talent to Schenectady under the leadership of volunteer producing artistic director Mona Golub. And whereas 2014 marks the 25th anniversary of the Agnes McDonald Music Haven Concert Series, bringing the joy of music to a most grateful public. Now therefore be it resolved that we call on all citizens to join the City Council and Mayor in recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Music Haven World Class Concert Series. Madam President, I move this resolution.
All right, it's second by Mr. Mutavaran. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, members.
This is a tremendous honor. It's been a pleasure for the last 24 years to have Music Haven be a summer home for artists from around the world and around the country, and to welcome anyone and everyone who wishes to join us to enjoy an evening in a distant land right in the heart of our city, our crown jewel, Central Park. I invite you to join me. There are 4 concerts left this season on Sunday evenings at 7, And I thank you so much for recognizing me and so many others who have worked to make these concerts possible over the years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on then to approval of the minutes from both June 9th and June 23rd, 2014. Okay, Mr. Kosher moves it, Mr. Riggi seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council for Monday, July 14th, 2014. Under the category of official, from the mayor, a list of appointments dated July 14th, 2014. Under general, there are none. Under petitions, there are none.
All right. We'll move to committee reports. Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. For Health and Recreation, on the agenda tonight is something that we've been working on for the last 6 months, the Affirmative Action Advisory Board. So first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor for that we're able to move this forward and making those appointments, and also to thank everyone who submitted an application to be on this. There was some concern initially that we wouldn't have enough, and then we had the exact opposite. There were just an overwhelming number of people who were interested in serving. So I'd like to say thank you to all of those folks. Obviously everyone couldn't be chosen, but I'd also just like to point out there are many opportunities to serve within the city and different things. So I would like people to keep that in mind, and certainly will, keep them in mind for having submitted a resume and being wanted to be considered for this. So I know that we still have a little bit more work to do, and we're going to be working towards that. But again, I'd like to say thank you to all that submitted their resumes and to the mayor for helping us move this forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to recognize those folks? Are some of them here?
Let me see if anyone is here. I see one two people. Okay, if you want to stand, Kaneem Hames is here. Her name is on the list. And Randolph Magoo. Oh! And one more person who's behind someone's head, Eleanor Pepper. Just stand. Thank you.
Okay. Any other committee reports? Mr. Riggi.
Yes, on claims tonight, that's something that kind of interests me. There's a claim for somebody that had the same problem that I had, and I'm glad that we made some changes in the code because it's obviously saved the city a lot of money. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm glad that that was straightened out because this is a problem that can happen to a lot of homeowners where a corporation is clogged. And again, I'm glad that Corporation Council worked to suggest some changes that we made along with Mr. LaFond, and obviously it's a big saving to the city now from $3,100 down to $700, so that's good, and I applaud that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? All right, if not, we will move on to privilege of the floor related to the legislative agenda. I have two people signed up. The first is Jason Plank.
Yes, Jason Plank, City of Schenectady, Mayor, City Council, Council President. On the agenda tonight, you have one that's a tax certiorari or a tax readjustment of assessment, which is at 438 State Street, which is the Subway shop. You have reduced the assessment by nearly 46%. I mean, this is the area of downtown that you guys from both the city and the county leadership have claimed that you've pumped in $800 million worth of new investment. That means this property should have appreciated in value. It shouldn't have depreciated over the last 5 years. And to reduce the property tax assessment by 46% counter arguments your economic development for the downtown area. I mean, this is just a slap in the face to the city residents. We need to do more of this about this. There is also another agenda item in there where the attorney on another piece of property actually did an Excel sheet of how much money that the city owes this taxpayer. And it said the city owed them $23,000, it owed the county $12,000, and it owed the school district $42,000. So that means now the city's budget is $23,000 out of whack already just on one property. How many more of these losses do we have to pay back because they've overpaid in their taxes on these tax areas? How much of that money are we losing? How much money do we have to give back? I mean, this puts our budget, our city budget, in a hole. So, and if you figure that you're doing all these properties at this kind of a cut, I mean, anywhere between 25 to 50% for these developers, you're asking the homeowners who are not grieving to pay the whole lion's share of the thing. So we need a reassessment. Leave you guys on a positive note. I'm glad that the mayor finally did the appointment on the Affirmative Action Board. Thank you very much, and all the hard work from Marion Porterfield for getting the board moving forward. I'm asking that the Affirmative Action Board please start working as soon as possible. The Affirmative Action Board legislation was done back in 1988, 1989. There has been several new legislation of civil rights have been passed since then. So I'm hoping that the board will go back in and try to evaluate its mandate and then come up with some new suggestions for the thing to broaden it out. Also, affirmative action doesn't just mean jobs, it means across the equalization board. But I'm hoping that they can work on jobs first. I think that would be the priority one. We have a 70% unemployment rate for a person with disabilities. We're the dead last in the county, and I believe that we could be able to do some good work there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bob Sanders.
Good evening. My name is Bob Sanders. I live on Halsey Drive, and I'm here to speak on affirmative action. I think it was excellent that this board got filled. It was about time that this board got filled. If there's one thing we need, it's affirmative action here. And I could say that because I'm a person with disability. And if anybody knows what it's like to have a disability, it's me. And today was probably the worst day in my life. I had to go to my doctor's. I needed a prescription filled. I still need the prescription filled. I'm going to try and make this a short story. I actually drove out to Clifton Park to get a VIMPAT, a controlled substance, filled. Well, my doctor couldn't fill the prescription. I ended up having to release the doctor and get my old doctor over in Ellis Hospital, or actually rehire a doctor. This is a terrible thing for a person who could fall down and have a seizure. Many of you know my medical situation here. My point is, affirmative action, most people think of affirmative action just for people of color. I want this group to know that affirmative action goes for people with disabilities too. To sit there and have to hire a doctor, a new doctor, just to get VIMPAT, which probably most people don't even know what the drug is. Okay, it's just a narcotic, and it was because the script was 4 days past due over at CVS Pharmacy. You think the pharmacy would spot me 4 pills? No, it was too much. So I spent my day at the county office building calling different doctors. And like I said, I drove all the way to Clifton Park. They couldn't even write a new script. They said, we could see you tomorrow. And Mr. Sanders, you know what we'll do for you? We'll see you, we'll give you a thorough exam, even though they're going to see me, they would like to see me, and 4 more months would be my regular date, so they could bill my insurance company, give me an exam, okay, then give me the script, okay, and then I could give it to my new pharmacy. But these are the kind of things that happen all the time, and I would like to see this affirmative action board sit there and deal with people of everybody, because you know what, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican. People just treat each other terribly today. And, you know, we're all human beings. And we should be treating each other nicely. I mean, politics aside, we don't treat each other nicely anymore today. And if you have a disability, if you have diabetes, if you have cancer, if you have epilepsy, it's old today. We have got to start treating each other with some type of compassion. And this board was a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McLean, did you want to speak on the legislative agenda? And
Item number 1, I place a high premium on education. The academic background of those who are being considered as members for the Affirmative Action Advisory Board tonight are very impressive. I think the person who chairs this advisory board should have the same level of education and talent as its members. As I witnessed the evolution of this committee over the past several weeks, the process has and still is flawed. Recently, in a state of Michigan decision, the Supreme Court declared racial preferences unacceptable in dealing with affirmative action issues. Race, however, can be considered. There is a difference. It means resumes can be submitted, applicants interviewed, and people hired accordingly. But when council members call for specific groups to hold membership on an affirmative action board, then diversity is abandoned and bias lurks its ugly head. Consequently, a lot of well-qualified people are passed over, such as my neighbor, a freelance photographer for National Geographic who came to America from Bangladesh. Also, Schenectady has a Hindu temple. Why didn't council prepare some from the Hindu population? And is there a smaller minority than an 80-year-old grandmother who seeks public office, but council gave the service job to a double dipper? Last but not least, what about the last year's mayor's appointment? This is a printout from the mayor's office for 2013. I'm going to read the first name only. Frederick, who I assume is a male, was hired for a golf course cashier position at $11 per hour, seasonal work. Gary, another male, position, golf course cashier, $11 an hour, seasonal work. Deborah, female, golf course cashier, seasonal work, $9 per hour. 4 members, 4 women on city council approved a salary last year of $2 less for a female over her male counterpart. The proof is right here. Folks, look into yourselves before you throw stones at others. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up, so I'm going to declare this privilege of the floor closed. And we will move to approval of the legislative agenda. Mr. Riggi moves it, seconded by Mr. Kosher. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move to privilege of the floor regarding city business. I have 7 people signed up. The first is Jason Plank.
Madam President, City Council, Mayor. One of the things we were talking about is the reassessment. And I wanted to hit home a little bit of some figures, Madam President, as the mayor's PDF file on home ownership. And he had basically put out a graph that the homes that he was seeking was a little over $1,400 per month, including property taxes, mortgage, and everything else. And that is the cheapest price that you can buy within the Capital District area. Well, the banks say approximately 30% of your mortgage is supposed to be your mortgage taxes and everything else. So that would put it at approximately $1,200 per week. That's salary. That puts it at about $60,000 per year. The average salary here in the city is about $31,000, but some of the mayor staff are saying between $36 and $38. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll take the $38. Then you also say that the county employees, CSA, is about $42,000 per year. And the city CSA employees are about 40,000. That means 70% of both the labor force and within the population of the city of Schenectady cannot even qualify for one of the mayor's nice little homes at $1,400 per month. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we need to take a look at the assessment. We also need to take a look at the taxes and everything else. How can you say that $1,400 a month is a great buy when 70% of the population, nearly 70% of the population, can't even afford a bank loan for these homes? So, you know, I mean, when we talk about affordable and accessible housing, we have federal money state money, we have Metroplex money going into the Gillespie project on Alcoa, by building all these affordable and luxury townhouses. We have the one across from Villa Italia that built luxury townhouses right on the backside of Proctor's by the new 8-story Liberty Tower there. And we've got more luxury towers going on the lower end of State Street. How does that benefit the area? How does it move us forward to be able to move people back into their own community and back in? They're saying that HUD says that you need to have a 60% home ownership rate. Hamilton Hill and Mount Pleasant is sitting at 40 to 45%. How can these individuals move forward? You know, when we're all looking at all this together, we need to have a fair housing. We need to do an Olmstead decision, and we also need to look at how we're going to be able to provide jobs to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Marva Isaacs.
Madam President, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I would like to announce that Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church will have their 62nd anniversary on Sunday the 20th, and all are invited. And here's the.
Thank you.
Hamilton Hill Neighborhood Association will have their summer block party on Saturday, July the 26th on Duane Avenue from 12 to 4 p.m. Okay. You all are invited. And on a more serious note here tonight, the kids, this is ridiculous. The kids are on the roof of the school. The janitor came and spoke to them, and they jumped on his car. They terrorized that man all afternoon. The police was called. The police couldn't find them after they came there. That same night, the Friday night, they went onto McClyman Street. They opened the gate of this homeowner, went in there, and they sprayed his car with black paint. They go across the street, the nerve climb up on the porch and spray the sidings. They go around on Emmett Street and spray those people's houses there. And all those houses was Guyanese houses that they sprayed. And I think the parents cannot handle the kids, lock the parents up. They need to learn a lesson. The parents leave the kids to run wild on the streets, and they do whatever they want. Because if that homeowner came out that night and saw them destroying a property, it would have been something different. Everybody would have had something to say. Okay, on another note here, the police officer, Chief Kilcullen, have a police officer on Duane Avenue and Avery, and that is the best thing that Chief Kilcullen did, because those people run the stop sign there. The car was on my sidewalk. He run the stop sign, hit another car, and was on the sidewalk. And I must applaud Chief Kilcullen for what he's doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Lynn Schmidt.
Good evening, Mayor McCarthy, President King, City Council members. My name is Sharon Lynn Schmidt, and I'm speaking as coordinator of events for the Mount Pleasant Merchants with the approval of the President, Mount Pleasant Merchants, Reverend James Bookout. The Merchants will be holding their second annual Customer Appreciation and Sidewalk Sale on Saturday, August 2nd from 10 to 6 p.m., offering specials to their customers. There is free parking on Crane Street and the city parking lot in back of the diner. I'd like to thank Kathleen Moore for the Sunday, July 13th, the Daily Gazette article she wrote about the Crane Street corridor, and thanks to Peter for the photo. And credit actually goes to some special May 4th Mount Pleasant Cleanup Day volunteers, Herb and Jack, who delivered the cigarette butt cans on Crane Street. And Kathleen, thank you for comparing our efforts to those mirrored by Metroplex. You could not have given us a higher honor. Let's add a movie theater and a game arcade to the list of businesses that the merchants would like on Crane Street, a sports equipment and clothing store, and an ice cream parlor to the list of businesses we'd like to see fill our empty storefronts, and invite Ray Gillen for a free ice cream cone. Next, I'd like to praise Oran Tucker, the Schenectady Basketball Club, Inc., for taking on the kindergarten through 8th grade future basketball players of Orchard Park, which is open to all Schenectady K through 8 basketball players. The sign-ups are increasing, the kids are learning the basics, and interacting with each other in an admirable way. Volunteers are also welcome to join the Saturday morning and Monday night practice, scrimmage, and games. Thanks to the local 106 union members who put the basketball pole and backboard back in place in time for first sign-ups. John Mudavaran will provide details of our Saturday's bike repair and Safe Child ID event. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry Brand.
Harry Brand, resident Schenectady. I don't know what we have for plans and priority in this city, but the condition of all of our streets is horrible, absolutely deplorable. I can't understand the tearing up and paving of Avon Road off of Wendell Avenue, the tearing up and paving of Girling Street, and all these in a matter of days, and yet Millard Street sets that way now, to my count, 13 weeks torn up. A horrible winter there. The street was terrible all winter. Then part of it was torn up for several weeks. Now 13 weeks counting this week, and it hasn't been repaved. Drop-off edges on both ends. It couldn't be smoothed out. Even that? I don't understand where our priorities are. Our mayor asked me this several years ago. Are we doing anything right in this city? And I don't see very much except downtown. I drove over Erie Boulevard during all the construction, drive over now. Why aren't the manhole covers even with the street? Why aren't it smooth? What do we have for contracts? Do we have anybody contract followers? Do we have engineers that look after the stuff in the city? Look at Union Avenue. It was never done right. 2 years now and it's got cracks. Both ends are patched up. What is this? We had a winter there. The whole winter, when there was snow on the ground, you had to drive over the center line no matter which way you went. You're not supposed to cross the center line, are you? A solid center yellow line? But that's the only way you could pass on that street. Do we need to make some of these streets priorities? One way? But nothing happens here. You got to have an accident, somebody killed before you do anything? I don't blame the workers. Hell, half the time they're in the convenience stores, in the drugstores, getting their cigarettes and coffees all over the city. I don't know what their work hours are. I don't know what their break hours are. And it's not for me to know. It's for you people to know and do something about it. Let them go home early when their job is finished. Holy mackerel. I never heard of anything so outrageous in my life. There's nothing else they can do. They can't pull weeds. You got them all around City Hall. You can't even treat the farmer's market fair. You have a garbage truck rusted out in the rear end of the collection box sitting here from City Hall from Friday to Monday morning. There's no other garbage trucks in the farmer markets around the city. Summarize, I'll tell you what, you ought to wake up or sober up or do both and get this city right for the citizens and the taxpayers here. It's a shame.
Thank you. Pastor Priscilla Terry.
Good evening. I am presenting before City Council a time-sensitive situation. I am Pastor Priscilla Terry, Senior Pastor of Out the Box Family Worship Tabernacle, located at 870 Albany Street. At the beginning of the year, I was notified that our property was up for foreclosure. I believe it was March, and later was notified it was July. But at such time, in February, I went down to City Hall to the assessor's office with a minister of my church and a fellow pastor in the community I ended up starting at the assessor's office, and at that time, the assessor walked us up to corporate counsel. At that time, I was asking for an extension because of circumstances relative to our having a difficult time getting through the bureaucracy of how to apply for tax-exempt status. We did become tax-exempt status, I believe, in 2013, which was applied to 2014, but we owe taxes, I believe, from 10 and 11 and 12, if not 11 and 12. At that time, I asked for an extension because of those circumstances with the city. At such time, with the assessor present and 2 other ministers present, I spoke to Assistant Corporation Counsel, Mr. Salomon, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but at that time he had said, quote unquote, that he would not participate in such an evil as of closing a church. He said at that time that he pulled up the records, he indicated to me he could see that the taxes, we became tax exempt. He could see that the property went into the church's name, and he said he's not sure at that time if he could alleviate all the debt, but he said he did not see it to be a problem in regards to us having an extension or something worked out. He said he hoped he could relieve all the debt. He would try to, but he wasn't sure if he would be able to do that. He said he would get back in touch with me after he spoke with the appropriate persons. A few weeks later, he called me back and he said that he spoke to the appropriate persons. They could not relieve the debt, but that they would give me an extension to 12/31/14. At which time he indicated he would send me a letter. After several weeks of not getting that letter, I called his office back again. He said for some reason the letter was returned, verified the address, and he said another letter would be sent out. When I didn't get that letter, I called back again. At that time, there was a regime change. Assistant Corporation Counsel Rachel Ward, and I spoke to her about the situation. She said she didn't see a problem with it being honored, and then later after I spoke to her again, she said that they denied it. So I'm asking for City Council to be able to support us in this endeavor, to be able to have the city honor its word, if anything else. So I'm just hoping to get some support so the church doors does not have to close at 870 Albany Street over us being misinformed or whatever the situation that happened. Thank you.
Okay, when the meeting is over, if you would talk with our Corporation Counsel, Mr.
Okay.
Polster, that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Sanders. Okay, thanks. Mary McLean.
I want to get back to the Schenectady policeman's plea deal. A local judge told me the court had nothing to do with the plea deal. The deal was between the union and the city. My 22-year-old nephew pointed a water gun at a street sign from the cabin of his truck, and he got the book thrown at him in the state of New Jersey. A Schenectady police officer brandishes his revolver at an American citizen, and the city is talking to the union. That is American justice in Schenectady. Folks, you cannot build casinos fast enough to cover the cost of pork that goes out of this building when people leave the city's employ. This former officer is in his early 40s and retired with full benefits. He can live another 45 years. There is no way he can put into the system as much as he is going to take out. So who is going to pay for his deal? Schenectady's aging population. We are his bank, benefactor, and fairy godmother. This kind of giveaway deal is not a first by city officials. The tax assessor was given $27,000 in cash to take a walk. A retiring fire chief received a pension, benefits, $674,000 in cash upon his departure from the city. The cash was based on a document that did not apply to the job he was leaving. I foiled for that document and read it. Another employee retired in 2013 and padded his pension with $40,000 worth of overtime work during his last year of city employment. With this pattern of loose money, it is obvious the city officials do not have a healthy respect for taxpayers' dollars. The giveaways keep the tax burdens high. Is it any wonder there is no money in the budget to pay the principal on the Foster Avenue garage? Don't be surprised when a citizen's class action suit against high taxes comes crashing down on the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up, so I'm going to declare this portion of the meeting closed. We'll move to miscellaneous business of the council. Mr. Iggy.
Thank Mrs. Fletcher for giving me this the stress ball. It works very well. I think maybe we should hand them out here over the rail. It might not be a bad idea. Harry, I'm going to get one for you. I think this might do the trick. Farmers Market in Bellevue, Thursdays from 4 to 7. And last week they started bringing corn in. The corn was very good, so I just want to give that a little plug because it was very good. Mayor, if you could update us on the Oak Street Bridge. I had some people ask me about that when I was at the Mount Carmel Feast this weekend. So if there's anything that we should know or that we don't know, I know it went out to design stage, but I'm not sure what happened with that, if we got anything back. So if you could update us with that. I want to thank the people at Mount Carmel Church for the beautiful feast that they put out this weekend. They do a real good job. It was a real nice event. It's really a nice thing and a nice event for the community and for the church. I want to thank Carmen DePaulo and George Rose for Belmont, Schenectady Belmont Pop Warner. They do a great job. They are in need of money. They had a fundraiser this Saturday, a chicken dinner fundraiser, which helps, but they could use some help, financial help, to keep that league going. That league is very important for the city of Schenectady, without question, for the youth of Schenectady. They teach a lot of things. They mentor in a lot of ways. And as far as what Marva brought up about kids running wild, well, those kids obviously aren't playing in the Schenectady Pop Warner League because they do teach them about what it is to be a good citizen. So this is very important. If anybody wants to donate, contact me. I didn't bring Carmen's number with me, but if you contact me, I can give the contact information to donate to this league. It's very, very important for Schenectady to keep this league going, and I think they handle somewhere between 500 and 700 kids between cheerleaders and the kids that are playing, and that's amazing. You talk about volunteerism, that's true volunteerism, and these people are really into it, you know, and they do a great job. And I just want to let everybody know how important this organization is to the city of Schenectady. We can't let it down. We can't let it falter, because it's just that important. That the problems we have with kids today is awful. It's been brought to my attention there was a special needs child that was probably, I'm going to guess he was 13, 14 years old. And he was lured into Quackenbush Park after school in June, and he was beaten up by a kid. And it was filmed. Commissioner Bennett, they did schedule an appointment. There was an incident report. They know who the kid is, but the perpetrator was 12. This is what society has come to. A kid that was defenseless. To watch this, I don't even know what to say. It's really heartbreaking. It's something that we should really, really pay attention to and really be afraid of, that this is what's happening. It isn't just our city these things are happening, but this is what society has come to. There isn't any respect for anything, whether it's people's property, whether it's the persons, whatever it is, there's no respect, and we can't have that. that, again, that incident was just, it's so troubling and so heartbreaking to watch. I'm without words on this, but we certainly need, we need organizations like Belmont Pop Warner and the Little Leagues and anything that can keep youths so their time is more constructive instead of destructive. And I think that's why these things are so important. Mr. Sanders, what you brought up, I did talk to Marion about this. I think this board, Affirmative Action Board, should also, it'd be nice if we could have somebody that at least understands the needs of people with disabilities, because that's also an important part of affirmative action. And I did speak with Ms. Porterfield about that. So I think in the future, I know this is a board in progress because we can add to it, and I know we have some concerns about other groups being added to this. I think it should, but maybe we can get a twofer, somebody that can fill 2 spots at the same time. I think that'd be a good thing to look for. So with that, I thank you for your time, but really we have to try to take control of what's going on with society in general. But I would like to see anybody that can contribute to Belmont Pop Warner, please contact me. I'm on the online website, and I'll make sure that I can give the right contact information for people to donate. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Mudavaran.
Thank you. Just a few public service announcements. The Electric City Bike Rescue, free bike repair and maintenance, Saturday, July the 19th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Bridge Christian Church at 735 Crane Street in the parking lot. And the Schenectady County Sheriff Officer Operation Safe Child ID System is being also held on Saturday, July 19 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Bridge Christian Church at 735 Crane Street, also in the parking lot. I encourage folks across the city to attend these events. These events are sponsored by the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. First of all, I'd just like to clarify something that was said at the rail today with regard to the affirmative action legislation, and certain groups were asked to be represented. I just want to clarify that the way the legislation reads is that an individual who represents women's interests, disabled interests. It does not name specific minority groups. It says someone who represents those interests. Now, I know that most people run to that means that if a person is going to represent a minority interest, they would have to be a minority. Not necessarily so. Or disabled, not necessarily so. So I want to be clear that the legislation does not name specific minority groups. It asks for an individual who represents specific interests. So, and if anyone wants to read the legislation, it's certainly there to be read. I just want to make sure that people are clear on that. And when we ask for people to submit their resumes, that is the information that they also received in terms of what we were looking for. I want to announce that there's going to be an exam for the New York State Court officers. The filing period is from June 19th through August 14th, 2014. You have to apply online, and there is an online application fee to do that. So anyone who has an interest in becoming a New York State Court officer, the opportunity is there now only through August 14th, and I'll make sure that this gets posted on the board downstairs in City Hall. Lastly, we have a resolution on today for Reverend Van Stewart. There's many people that know him. He spent much time in this chamber, coming to talk about various things going on in the community. He was a very involved community worker. So Reverend Van Stewart is going to be leaving the area, moving on to do other things. So Mr. Kosher and I will be going to the service Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at Macedonia and Colony to present him with that resolution. But I just wanted to be able to stand and say that, you know, the work that he did in Schenectady is outstanding. He worked with a lot of groups. His health was such that he was not able to continue to do that, but still he stayed in touch by phone. And, you know, if you needed advice from him, he was there to give it. And those of you that know Reverend Van Stewart, he just had such a wonderful way of putting things. He gave a little humor to it, but you got the point. So we're certainly going to miss him being here, but we wish him well in his future endeavors and are grateful for the time that he did spend in Schenectady. Thank you.
Thank you. Nope. Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilman Riggi, thank you for the suggestions on the stress balls. That we're just starting the budget process, and I'd ask your support. I'll put in for 2 stress balls for Harry if you'd go along with that. Oak Street Bridge, they're doing the design work evaluation. That report will come back. Hopefully it will be within budget so that we can then actually start the renovation and rehabilitation of the bridge, so that our goal is again to get it open as quick as we can. And I don't know exactly when that report is due back, but I know they're working on it, and they've been directed to do it in as an expedited manner as they can. Want to thank everyone who came out for summer night. It was a great evening. The weather was perfect. Great individuals, family-oriented crowd, and just hope everyone got to enjoy their evening and again reflect on the good things that are happening in Schenectady. And I want to compliment 2 police officers, Officer Corey Shields and Brian Palmer, who last night, Vince talks about some of the things, but had a juvenile draw a gun on him. Turned out to be a BB gun, but again, the officers acted with a high degree of professionalism, a high degree of restraint, and ended again without anybody getting hurt, without any horrific outcome. But it's again, people have to assume a little bit of responsibility for their children. We want people to have a good time and enjoy the community, but we look at the police officers, a lot of times we're quick to criticize them, and this is just an example. We're proud of the performance and the discipline that they displayed last night. And thank you, Madam President.
Okay. And I too would like to commend everybody involved with Summer Night. The idea of the sandbox was just amazing. Kids were having so much fun, and it was a great crowd, very orderly, just a really successful event. So I congratulate everybody involved. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Kosher, seconded by Mr. Riggi. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.